Hello everyone and welcome back to the second holocron in our series for the 2021 Beginner's Guide to the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes mobile game. This one is going to cover a lot about the importance of fleet. Some people, even experienced players, really don't like the ships in the game or the fleet game mode, but the truth is it's easier to get crystals income out of the fleet arena than it is out of the squad arena. Very early in the game, people who spend money will often spend it on characters, and they find it very easy to overpower and dominate the squad arena. If you don't have money to spend and you're not willing to try to do that to keep up, the squad arena is pretty much going to be off limits quite quickly as people start spending money. However, since people generally don't pay as much attention to fleets, the fleets are more open and available for a free-to-play player or a player with low spending to access these higher tiers. And you can see from the screen, even if you get top 20, you get 100 crystals per day. If you can break into the top 10, it's 200 crystals per day. We're going to target, ultimately, somewhere in the top 5, where you get 300 or more crystals per day. That crystal income can really accelerate your account growth and help you get far, far ahead. And once that happens, you will take over the squad arena and start getting income there as well. How ships work is difficult to explain. It's not intuitive, and the game doesn't do a very good job of telling you or explaining how ships work. The ship itself, the stats of the ship are determined by the crew, a multiplier, and the stat contribution from the ship itself. So the ship itself, how many levels it has and how many stars it has, will determine the base stat. And then you have a multiplier, and then the additional stats for that are based on the crew. The stats from the pilot that make a difference for the ship are the levels 1 to 85, more stars going from 2 to 7 stars. Every gear piece, every gear tier that you go up adds on to the character multiplier. How many dots you have on the mods and what level they are. So if you have a 4-dot mod or a 5-dot mod, the 5 dots on the mod make a difference for ships. And taking those 5-dot mods to level 15 makes a difference. It doesn't matter what color the mod is, but then eventually when you can take a mod to 6 dots, 6 dots on the mod also has an effect on the ship. Ability levels on your character as you level up the abilities improve the ship. If you put a Zeta on your character, it will improve the ship. It doesn't seem reasonable, but that's how it works. And the more that you invest in the character, the better the ship becomes. And just to give you kind of a visual tutorial, if you have a pilot and he's only like, let's say 4 stars, and you haven't worked on his gear very much and he's gear 8, but you've really worked on the ship and you've got a massive 7-star ship with all of the stats max level 85 ready to go with a small pilot, the result is going to be weak. The pilot has much more impact with the multipliers than the ship itself does, and if you have a weak pilot, you have a weak ship. That's just the way it goes. On the other hand, if you have a massive pilot and the ship is not built up very well, it's still a pretty good ship. You can still get a decent result with a really big pilot and a ship that you're still working on. Now, if we take that somewhere in the middle and say, okay, the pilot's not that big, we've got a medium-sized pilot and a pretty good ship, that's going to give you the best result. You want a good pilot, you want a good ship. When you put those two things together, then you get a really great ship for the fleet. You get good stats. But you can't leave the pilot behind. So as you build up your ship, you have to understand the pilot is absolutely critical to your success in fleet. So this Geonosian ship, the Geonosian starfighter, the Geonosian spy starfighter, it's most important that the Geo spy himself be well geared, all of his skills, 5-dot mods, and built up to make that ship as good as possible in fleet. Also, we want to talk here briefly about Zeta materials. Characters like the Geo Brute Alpha have a skill that requires 20 of these Zeta materials to activate the skill. These Zeta abilities are game-changing abilities within Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. You need these Zeta abilities, and these materials are not easy to get or collect. One of the easiest ways to get them very early in the game is in the Fleet Tier 3 challenge. So that's what we're going to set up for in Fleet. That's why the Zeta materials are being discussed in Fleet. So please realize when you do get the Zeta materials, you're going to want to research what characters to put them on. And if you don't get time to research and you just need to know what the best 3 are, for what we've built with those first 4 teams, the Geo Brute Alpha, Queen's Will, Darth Vader, Merciless Massacre, and Emperor Palpatine's leadership, the Emperor of the Galactic Empire, are going to be the easiest and best first 3 Zetas for your account. And be aware, do not put any Zetas on any Phoenix characters that you may have built up. So how do we accumulate these materials through the Fleet Material Challenge Tier 3? It requires you to have a good fleet and to be prepared. It's available as early as level 78, and we're going to want to build all the ships that we need to get through that challenge right at level 78 and be able to start collecting those Zeta materials as soon as we can in the start of the game. That's really your number one priority up through level 78, is to prepare yourself for the Zeta material challenge and get access to those as soon as you can. Let's meet our fleet. We're going to do Grand Moff Tarkin as the Admiral of the Executrix capital ship. We're going to do the 3 Geos, the Spy, the Geo Soldier, and Sunfax Geo Starfighter. We're also going to build the Vulture droid, and we're going to focus very heavily early game on getting that Vulture droid up and running for this challenge. The characters in those ships are Grand Moff Tarkin, Geo Spy, Geo Soldier, Sunfac, and the Vulture droid is a pilotless ship, so you only have to build the ship. You don't have to build a pilot. We talked about the stats earlier being based on the pilot. These ships just have a multiplier for the ship itself. So that's nice. It saves you having to gear up and build a character separately to make the ship good, and that makes it even stronger in the early game. So in order to get the level 78 Fleet Material 3 unlocked, the first thing you need a 5-star Executrix capital ship. In order to get that, you need 5 dark side ships at 4 stars. That's just to get the capital ship to the right amount of stars. Then when the challenge itself comes up, you will need that Executrix, and you will also need 6 ships, any 6 ships at 5 stars. And it doesn't have to be dark side ships for this challenge, it can be any ships. But because you have to build the dark side ships in order to get the Executrix anyway, it makes sense that the majority of your ships would indeed be dark side ships. Now, in order to get this Vulture droid to 5 stars in time, very early in the game, as soon as we can get access to that Vulture droid, we need to farm it every day 5 times. We need to spend the 25 crystals to refresh the node, and we need to farm it a second time for another 5 attempts, for a total of 10 attempts a day to get the Vulture droid shards in order to build it up in time to have it for level 78. This is called forced farming. I'm not going to recommend that very often, and in fact the Vulture droid early game is one of the few times that I'm ever going to recommend that that's an efficient way to do things, but it's so important to get this ship up and running as part of your fleet, to get that early fleet arena dominance, that we're going to go ahead and force farm it at least for the first 80 levels. That's going to leave us with 2 ships that we still need to work on. Ahsoka Tano is very easy to get. She shows up in the Galactic War Store and the Fleet Store. We're already building her character for our Jedi team, so we've got Ahsoka Tano as a pilot. And the Imperial TIE Fighter is also a ship that shows up very frequently in the Fleet Arena Store as well as the Galactic War Store. So to get both of those ships to 5 stars is really not an issue at all. And you don't have to build those ships. Ahsoka Tano does have a very good reinforcement ability, so it's worth putting some effort into her ship as a reinforcement. But the Imperial TIE Fighter, you can leave that ship at level 1 and not invest anything in it. Just put it at 5 stars and leave it there. And as long as it's at 5 stars, it meets the requirements for the challenge. And you'll typically complete that challenge with 4 or maybe 5 of your ships. You certainly won't have to call that 6th one in from reinforcement to beat the challenge itself. If there's a problem or you don't want to force farm that Vulture droid, there's also the ship for the Jedi Consular. It shows up all the time, similarly to these other ships. And that's another one that you could very easily get to 5 stars and leave at level 1. If you need a 6th ship and the Vulture droid isn't coming along for you, or you don't want to invest in it. All right, we also need to talk about the Hound's Tooth. A lot of guides out there are going to direct you very quickly to Bosk, Jango Fett, and the Hound's Tooth ship. It is the best early game tank ship in the game. It's a game changer, and it can stop other people dead in their tracks in the fleet arena. So the reason why we don't have the Hound's Tooth in this guide is simply because it does take 2 hard nodes, and we're already working on other characters and things out of the hard nodes, and we're force farming that Vulture droid. So we have less resources to build that Hound's Tooth early. It is worth building, but after looking at a lot of things, the Vulture droid, because it's pilotless, you just work on the ship. You don't have to work on the pilot also. You don't have to build a bounty hunter team, for example, or gear up your Bosk. So early game, this Vulture droid is going to be an easier route to success. And the Vulture droid actually counters the Hound's Tooth. It has an ability that puts on buff immunity, and that can stop the Hound's Tooth. So you're doing 2 things at once. You're building what you need for Fleet Arena, and you're also building a counter to other people that build the Hound's Tooth. Now you will, at some point, have to circle back around and get that Hound's Tooth. It really is that good and that flexible of a ship, but you don't need it right away. For most of the builds that we're going to tack on later, we're also going to farm the second pilotless ship, the Hyena Bomber, as the tank for this fleet. It also comes with no pilot, and it's very efficient to build. And if we build that, then we have 5 ships, the 3 Geos, the Vulture droid, and the Hyena Bomber, and we can build into the Malevolence as our first capital ship. So it's a very efficient path. It works very well for the early game. It goes very well into an end game fleet where you can dominate the fleet arena for a long time to come. I will give the same warning about galactic power as I did before. Don't build up ships that aren't in your fleet plan. Ships are a double hit for galactic power, because if the pilot gets built, then as you level up the pilot, you're also building the galactic power up in that ship. And if you build a ship a little bit and build the pilot a little bit and then leave it alone, you can easily have 20,000 galactic power tied up in a ship that's not helping you. That's why I currently do not recommend anybody to build the Phoenix ships, even though we've built the Phoenix. We are not going to build the Ghost or the Phantom, either one of the Phoenix ships. We're not going to build them. We're also not going to unlock the Chimera early game. The Executrix is good enough, so we're going to work on that. And because we're going to go for the Malevolence as the capital ship, you can even not work on any other capital ship and just leave the Executrix as the only capital ship that you're working on. Then when you get the Malevolence, you'll have that one as your main capital ship, and you'll still have the Executrix as your second capital ship for Grand Arena. Mods. Mods are important. I'm going to go over the basics here, but I want everybody who watches these videos, if you're a new player starting an alt account, think about this. Mods are not something that happens within the game. They're not something that you just put on your characters to make your characters just a little bit better. Mods can make or break the functionality of your teams. If you watch any of the videos of the high-end players, people with the exact right team to beat Lightside GOTB can't get 4 out of 4 waves unless they also have great mods. And they have to have the right mods in the right way on these characters. So just having the characters isn't enough in this game. You need to have the characters and you need to have the mods to power them. The sooner you understand that in the game and the sooner you start working on your mod inventory and really trying to build good mods for your characters, the more successful you'll be. And honestly, the further you're going to get ahead of other people who don't do it. You're going to want to work to get to the mod challenge as soon as you can. And very early, you're going to want to develop some mods just to play through the game. You're going to have 1 dot and 2 dot mods. And, at some point to get through 3 stars on some nodes or even to complete some nodes in the game, you're going to need to put mods on characters to make them a little bit better, especially for the set bonuses early on. That's fine. Do that. Invest in those mods just a little bit. But just understand that as soon as you have access to 5 dot mods through the mod challenges, even if they're only health mods, you're going to start farming up those 5 dot mods and you're going to start outfitting your characters only with 5 dot mods, and that's all the mods that you're going to spend resources on. Any mod that you get later in the game, as you farm these up, you'll get 3 dot and 4 dot mods. Still, sell all of those. Don't ever keep them. There's no way in the game right now to make a 3 dot or a 4 dot mod into a 5 dot mod. You have to have it 5 dots to make it into 6 dots. That's the way the game is right now. So there's no reason, no matter how good the stats are on a 4 dot mod, you got to sell it. Don't invest in it. Get rid of it. All right, if you're struggling with mods, farm 5 dot speed, health, and crit chance. So the mod system is pretty complicated. You may not know what you need for a character, what mod set's the best. I'm telling you, as long as you farm health mods, crit mods, and speed set mods, you'll be fine. The health ones are the lowest and easiest to get to in the mod challenges. So once you get to those, farm 5 dot health mods until you can get to crit chance, then farm some of those till you get to speed, and just work on those 3 sets, and you'll be fine. Those will outfit just about any character in the game. Do prioritize some mod refreshes once you get those nodes unlocked. If you do the hyperdrive bundle, mods are even more critical because some players who are playing free-to-play or without the hyperdrive bundle, they will have played anywhere between 90 and 120 days of collecting mods and putting mods in their characters. A person who buys a hyperdrive bundle will find themselves in the same kind of fleet arena and shards as those people who've been playing quite some time, and there'll be 0 mods in the account. So if you buy hyperdrive bundle right away as soon as you start the game, you really have to focus on mod energy, mod refreshes, and building up a mod inventory, even to the extent that I would not spend a single crystal on anything any day unless you've already done the 350 energy refreshes on your mods. It's that important. Guilds are the sense of community in this game. There's an in-game chat, but most decent guilds aren't going to use the in-game chat. They're going to have a Discord server, and they're going to expect their players to also have Discord and to participate in the activities for the guild on Discord. They use that for coordination in territory battles, territory wars, even sometimes raids and guild events. Don't stay in the starter guilds. The game gives you a starter guild. There's no reason to stay in those guilds. There's resources that are linked in the description of this video to find a guild on Discord. Join that Discord server, sign up as a player looking for a guild. Even if you're level 32, there's a way for you to find a guild that's relevant and people that'll help out newer players. And, start working in those guilds, in a real guild, have a sense of community, talk to people, have fun. It's nice. It's the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes community is great. There's a lot of fun people out there. So I recommend getting out of the starter guilds as soon as you can. Join a beginner guild. Move on when you're ready. The guilds, part of the guild functionality is raids. Raids give you gear. They also give you character shards. And early in the game, these characters can be really overpowered characters that you get for free. You don't have to farm them. You don't have to look for them in the game. So you want to get them as soon as you can. Raids are launched using tickets. Tickets are earned by using regular energy or cantina energy up to 600 tickets daily. So if you get all of your free energy and you just use all of your cantina and regular energy for free that you get in the game, and you do one refresh of any kind, and remember, we're wanting to refresh the Vulture droid. So if you refresh and rerun the Vulture droid, already with that one energy refresh, that's going to get you to 600 tickets. So it's not hard to get your 600 tickets for the day, and a lot of guilds will take you as a guild member. All you have to do is say, I'm building geos for the territory battles, and I'm going to get 600 tickets a day, and a lot of guilds will let you in just with that. Regardless of how much damage you do in a raid, always get in there. Low level, maybe you're level 52, you get in there with a 1 7-star character and you do 7 damage. There's a lot of people that don't participate in the raids at all, and they get assigned a random place. And one day recently on my alt account, I ended up getting 3rd place in the Sith Heroic raid, simply because 2 people soloed it, nobody else did damage. I did just a tiny bit of damage and scored 3rd place. So there's no reason not to go in there and do a little bit of damage. It'll get you a better reward. Han Solo comes out of the pit raid, Kenobi comes out of the tank raid, and Traya comes out of the Sith raid. Those are the only places you can get those characters in the game. So participate in that, get in your guild, make sure you join those events, and get some raid stuff done. Geos are good at guild events. They're not particularly good at raids, but they're good at territory battles, and they're decent at territory wars if you have geos that are roughly at the level that your guild needs. So if you promise 600 tickets a day and strong geo team, that's usually enough to get you into a good guild. Also, within the guild, within the objectives tab, this is where your daily activities are. So if you look at the top of this screen, all the way to the left is the daily activities. And some people go in here and rarely make it off of the daily activities tab. All the way over to the right, there's a guild activities tab. And there you see personal raid tickets with the check mark. You can check and see how many raid tickets you've got. Right below that, you'll see that there's actually a target for squad arena attempts for the day. And that's a guild thing, and if you do that, you get credit for the guild, and the higher the tiers are, the more everybody gets in these guild store currency. So it's just something to watch out for. There's a day when you do dark side nodes, light side nodes, hard nodes, spending any energy. So if you pay attention to those quests just a little bit, like the next day, you see at the very bottom, it says the next activity will be Cantina Energy. So if you just spend a couple Cantina refreshes when it's Cantina Energy Day in the guild, you'll get extra loot. There's no harm in it, so pay attention to that tab. It can help you get ahead a little bit. That concludes the second video. We've now got details on the importance of fleet. We've saw and heard about what our first fleet's going to be that we're going to build in the game. We've heard about Zeta materials. We've heard about mods. We've heard about guilds. The third video is going to tie that all together in detail to help you understand what and how to farm this. Thank you for your time. Like this video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more like it in the future. Join over on our Discord if you want to be part of the Darth Loquitur Discord. We've got a great community over there, a lot of fun people. We've got new players asking good questions. We've also got experienced players that are happy to answer those questions and help. It's a great community. Everybody's welcome. Thank you for your time. I will see you in the next Holocron.